Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at the Compass Box Hedonism Felicitas, maybe. Not exactly how you say this word, but all I know is Compass Box usually pours out pretty good stuff, Dustin. And this one is 53% ABV.
Yes.
Another blend, but we've done a little bit of research about this particular one and let everyone know what you found out about it as far as the age of the whiskeys.
Yeah, so this is a blend of whiskeys between 19 and 30 years old. I'll be honest, I don't know the single grain distilleries well enough to tell you, heck, even how to say the names. But you got a blend of 3 or 4 different single grain whiskeys out there. It's all on the back of the bottle without the age statements. You have to do a little research for that. But Compass Box is pretty good about disclosing that if you ask them.
Yeah, they actually tell you how much of the recipe is each one of them. So like, for instance, the North British distillery, it's 22.8% of that. And the Port Dundas distillery, maybe I'm saying the wrong, it's 44.1, but it gives you the whole breakdown here on the back. And a little bit, these distilleries are a little bit wordy, a few of them, so in the cask maturation, so I didn't want to butcher it. So I just want to say, hey, do your own little research on this. Tell us what you guys think it means, and we'll tell you what we think about the whiskey.
Yeah.
So 53%, and even though it's 19 to 33 years old at 53%, I didn't see anything that said it was cask strength, so I'm assuming that it's not.
That's the assumption I'd always make, because usually you brag about that if it's not.
Yeah, you would think so. And Compass Box does such a great job about disclosure just in general.
Yeah.
You would think they would tell you if it was cask strength or not. But, you love these Compass Boxes, Dustin, and you have quite a few, and I've always been impressed with the majority of them that you brought over. In the past, they were a great value. They're still decent value today, although they're kind of going up as far as price, but interesting whiskey.
It's getting more and more expensive to source these old, distillery whiskeys.
Yeah, it happens. All right, so natural color.
Yep.
Unchill filtered, I believe. Is that right, Dustin?
That is correct.
And a very, I would say, average gold, kind of like a gold bar, sort of.
You can tell there's a little bit of sherry finishing going on in at least some of the casks on here. But nothing intense. And on the nose right away, you get a beautiful just blast of just a fruit bowl. I mean, there's all kinds of fruity notes going on here. So you can tell you've got grain, you've got sherry casks, you've got some bourbon casks. It's obviously, they've all created just a really nice kind of...
fruit salad.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. And then a little bit of vanilla.
I had a friend that every once in a while in the summertime, his mom would make a fruit bowl, but put it in a watermelon that she cut in half and use like that as the bowl, so to speak.
Okay, yeah.
She kind of hollowed it out somewhat, but there was still some, red watermelon on the inside. She kind of cut it in like jagged edges, make it look like shark's teeth.
Okay.
And just throw the whole kind of fruit salad in there. And it reminds me a lot of that smell.
Yeah, no,
like when you walked into their house.
Yeah, what I'm not getting is actually a lot of those, I don't know how to best describe it. Like when I get a pure grain whiskey, there's always kind of a grain note that's like it's vanilla, but it's something else.
Like vanilla with something burnt. Like burnt popcorn is almost kind of what I get to without butter on it. Like a burnt kernel.
Yeah, I'm not really getting that here. I get a little of the vanilla, but I'm getting really a lot of oak.
I do get that small grain. Like you can tell that there's grain whiskey in this. There's something about grain whiskey, I said, that's like that burnt kernel smell. Not right when it burns, but like after it's kind of cooled down that I get in grain whiskeys.
There might be a slight hint there now that I'm going back in at the very end. Yeah. But I tell you what, it hides it well.
I mean, there's so many other things going on with it, and even the grain whiskey is well aged.
Yeah. But overall, I mean, it's a really pleasant, really nice nose.
Again, fruity with that slightly burnt corn husk or grain note. Like the one thing I can kind of compare it to is I've smelled like people burning like leaves, like 'cause that used to be a thing back, in the early '80s. That used to be like legal. I saw people got rid of their leaves instead of raking them up.
Yep.
And like there's something. Sometimes you would get like a corn husk or something else in that burnt leaf, and that little bit of burnt vegetation is kind of what I get in these grain whiskeys. I haven't had enough grain whiskeys to really nail it down, but that's the best way I can describe it.
I can see that 100%. Yeah.
But yeah, other than that note, other than that grain note, man, it's just fruit salad.
Yep.
The whole way. My goodness.
Fruity, a little bit of oak, and a little bit of vanilla.
And again, the fruits are just all over the place. Like I get grape skin.
I mean, I don't think you could stop naming off fruits here, Mike. I mean, I could literally tell you.
Banana, pear.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, maybe even a little pineapple.
There could be a touch of citrus from like an orange even. I mean,
there's something citrus there.
Yeah, I mean, it's that, or maybe it's like a pineapple or...
Yeah, I said pineapple earlier.
Yeah,
maybe
pears. I mean, I don't get apple. That might be the only one I'm not getting.
Yeah, I don't get apple. I almost get banana skin, though.
Yeah, it's not that sweet like... it's like an underripe one.
No, yeah, but the skin itself.
Yeah.
Like green banana skin.
Yep.
I tell you what, it's an interesting note.
Yep.
I like to get in grain whiskeys every once in a while. I had another one from a North British. It was like a 30-year-old or something like that. I mean, it was interesting. I'm more of a single malt guy myself, but it's nice to kind of venture out a little bit into some of these blends just to kind of see what else it does to the whiskey.
Yep.
What are you picking up on the palate?
Yeah, so it opens up with a fruity notes already on the nose. It's not as complex. It's not all over the place. I'm getting more citrus. I'm not getting any one distinct fruit there. And then it transitions into what I kind of think of as a classic grain whiskey. I always come back and always want to say like a waxy candy corn. I get a hint of that. And sometimes that's a cheap note, but this does it very nicely. It's very well. I think that extra age is bringing in a little bit of tannin, a little bit of firmness. But I don't think this is like oaky. I just think of it as well-aged whiskey notes.
Yeah, I have something I would say I would probably guess would be more of an oak-driven flavor kind of at the end. But the grain whiskey smooths it out so well. When you said candy corn, there is a sweetness to it. And remember I said earlier it could be like burnt corn husk along with burnt leaves with some type of vegetation. I think we're kicking around the same note here.
Yeah.
You know, a little bit. But when you said candied corn, yeah, I get that a lot. Maybe candy corn that's like, slightly melted or something like that. But
and it's even got that little bit of waxiness even.
Yeah, just because of the corn itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost not Klein Leash waxiness, but
No,
there is a waxy note to it, which is very
It's
very
Halloween as a kid kind of going back when I get that. I'm like, that's one of those notes I remember.
It's like candy in that plastic pumpkin head that you've had for 5 years that your dad just drags out of like underneath the stairs, once a year. So you got like dust and like, probably something that isn't great, but the candy was in wrappers, so you're fine. You're
excited to have it for that like first like one package, and then afterwards you're like, so where are the good stuff?
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, very easily palatable whiskey. Actually, it's smoother. I hate to use that word. It's actually more inviting on the palate than it was on the nose, because the grain note was not off-putting, but it was something was holding it back, in my opinion, on the nose. But on the palate, man, it works beautifully.
See, for me, the palate is more grain whiskey, but I actually agree with you that it's more inviting on the palate because I like grain whiskey's profile to a degree, and I love the fact that they've used some different casks in here. You've got recharred, you've got first fill bourbon, you've got refilled sherry. So you've got all those different cask maturations, and they're playing a beautiful role in adding complexity that grain whiskey usually kind of doesn't do well.
There's a vanilla sweetness to first fill bourbon barrels that, man, they do so well if you add it with a couple other whiskeys, or say like a Highland Park that has a little bit of smoke with that. Because a lot of times people, when they want sherry, they want sherry, they want sherry. I get that, especially if it's a non-peated whiskey, but that is actually done extremely well in this with those first fill bourbon casks. And again, that candy corn grain note along with that vanilla note, I would venture to say that's where it's coming from.
Yep. Oh no, absolutely. That's definitely a bourbon characteristic for sure.
Yeah, but sometimes you get vanilla notes like from the cask itself, and maybe
all
it just
grain.
isn't that.
Well, I mean, they almost always use bourbon cask too. It's just not always first filled. This one, I think that richer, cleaner, more enjoyable vanilla is because it's a first fill.
Yeah, man.
So let's jump into the
watered down version.
Watered down version.
And
it's adding a little bit more bite to the nose and the palate. It's kind of gotten a little more complex, a little more interesting, a little more stingy on the tongue.
It does unleash a spice.
Yeah.
That wasn't really there before. And again, this is 53%, so it's a high ABV. You can take some water.
Yeah, all we've done is really move the oils around, and so the oil's not hitting us first. Now the alcohol's maybe hitting us more, and
it's still, actually, you're right, it's more interesting. I don't know if it's more...
I don't know if it's better.
Yeah, I don't know if it's better, but it's definitely... It almost feels like it took something that was tightly woven and kind of split it apart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Again, I think all it did is just kind of move some of that oiliness out of the way, so when you first taste it, you get the whiskey first instead of the oils.
Yeah, I guess I probably prefer it neat overall.
Yeah, honestly,
this is one that is interesting, so you definitely want to try it with a few drops of water. It is interesting with water, but like with most whiskeys, I'd probably prefer it neat, at least on the palate for sure.
Yeah, well, again, I like that oily, viscous texture.
Who doesn't, man? What big-time whiskey drinker doesn't want that?
There are some odd ducks out there.
I know, there are probably plenty, but yeah, I like to be as aggressive as humanly possible.
Yeah.
All right, so what do you think as far as the whiskey score on this one?
Mike, going with an 88 here.
I'm going to go 87.
Okay.
And I think in my mind, I was thinking lower because it had grain in it. I'm saying 87 just overall. I think it's a very, very good whiskey. I think it's well-crafted whiskey. But, whenever I think Compass Box anymore, I always have a high expectation with Compass Boxes. And I always think I'm going to pick out something that's going to blow me away. It doesn't really blow me away here. But, again, easy drinker.
Yep.
Luscious, rich whiskey. Again, I prefer it neat, and I love the vanilla notes too,
Now, should we talk price?
and the candy corn. But yeah, let's get into price and see where we're at with this one.
All right, so if you drink Hedonism, which was the first whiskey ever apparently to have a woman on the box label.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so this, I think, correct me down below, I believe this was released officially on International Women's Day.
Oh,
And so when they do the special editions, they kind of do a little ode to women.
a little homage. Yeah, there's another lady here. Looks like a statue of a lady here in Hedonism with flowers and a big fruit basket, popping out of her head.
So you're looking at about 110 for the regular Hedonism. This one comes in at 175.
It's a little pricey.
A little pricey. This is a lot cheaper than the Muse, which came out a couple years back and was about 300.
That was good whiskey, though.
That was really good.
Yeah, but again, you get a high ABV, so it's not like, I have had worse deals in whiskey.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still a solid one. I don't know if I paid quite that for it, but still a quality offering from Compass Box.
Yep.
Name that gentleman who is their master blender. Who was that guy? The American?
Well, John Glazier is the guy who runs the place. However, and I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but there's actually a new master blender there who is a woman.
Oh, okay. Well, she's doing a good job. I mean, these are very enjoyable whiskeys, and I really like what Compass Box has been able to offer in the past. So it's a bottling and offering that I'll continue to take chances on because I've rarely been burned by them. Again, another scenario like this is good whiskey. Probably won't pay $175, more thinking $125 to $150.
Yeah.
But, it's not a whiskey disappointment.
No, not at all. I think if you like grain whiskey, this is a buy.
Yeah, if you were into that, there's plenty of those grain whiskey notes that I think that you would really like, and the extra cash they put into it did nothing but enhance it.
Nope, exactly. I think they did a great job blending.
Yeah, really nice whiskey. So, Dustin's at 88, I'm at 87. Those are at least our thoughts on it. I would like to know what you think if you had a chance to try this bottle or any Compass Box. Tell us what your favorite is. Dustin, we want to once again thank everyone for joining for another whiskey review, and we'll wish the folks until the next time we see them.
Happy drinking.
See you then.